What up, you little goobers? And today I'll be doing a quick guide on how to play Seraphine Reroll. I did my comps video the other day, and I talked about this comp quite a bit, and I thought I would just talk about it a little bit more here for some of you who really like this comp or want to play it a lot. It's my favorite comp to play on this patch. Honestly, I don't really enjoy this patch too much. I think I'm going to take a break from grinding until next patch, but this is one of the comps I really like. It's very strong, and it can gain you a lot of LP. Now, if you want to hard force this comp, I don't necessarily think hard forcing this comp is very good for climbing unless you are diamond or below. I think if you're any higher than that, then this comp is if you're master or higher, like this comp is a good comp to just have in your repertoire. Like when you're naturally in a lot of Seraphines, or you get a really strong KDA opener, you tempo really hard into it. I think it's a really good build to play and just to have. But if you want to like one trick it and you really want to maximize climbing, I don't necessarily think this is the comp to one trick unless you are diamond or below. But anyways, let's get into this a little bit. So this is what the completed comp looks like. This is what's going to look like every single game on, this is level 7, and then level 6, it's just this comp minus Ari is what it's going to look like every single game. And then you can cap this board by if you're spellweaver chosen, you'll be at 5 spellweaver here. If you're KDA chosen, you'll be at 5 KDA here. But if you're spellweaver chosen, you can cap with going level 8 and playing an Akali, or you go level 8, play a random spellweaver, or play a Alawi. Just gives you a lot of tankiness to your board. That's usually how you cap. And what's most important in this comp is 3 stars. So sometimes you won't go level 7 or won't go level 8 ever. You want to prioritize 3 stars unless you have like maybe a natural and a Akali too, and you have a bunch of items for her when you're doing your roll down. Then that can make sense to go to level 8 because a Akali 2 with some items and 5 KDA is very strong, even if you don't have Executioner. Okay, we're going to talk about the items in a minute because some of the items I have on here might be a little bit controversial, especially if you're someone who really likes stats. So we'll dig into that in just a second, but let's talk about augments first. So augments, Jeweled Lotus is probably one of the best offensive augments in this comp. Because it can allow you to crit. You have so much AP, especially when you get to 5 spellweaver, and it can really open up Seraphine's itemization. Like once you have Jeweled Lotus, you'll see in the stats that an item like Hand of Justice performs super well. That's for 2 reasons. 1, because healing is very good, and then 2, the only time you're ever building Hand of Justice on your Seraphine is because you have Jeweled Lotus. And in that case, it's very strong because healing is decently strong in this meta. Raise the tempo is very good. You don't want to take this first augment usually unless you're just going to hard force. But this at 2nd or 3rd is very nice. 1, because it gives you a Seraphine, and so it can help you get your Seraphine 3. And 2, because it really helps your Seraphine one-shot potential. So Seraphine will cast her 2nd cast, which will do her double cast, and then she'll cast again. So she'll do a triple cast. And a lot of fight interactions, and we'll especially talk about this when we talk about items, Seraphine can make a huge difference to your fight if she can actually one-shot on 2nd cast. Versus like chipping them down throughout the fight, because there's a lot of healing in this meta and that sort of thing. So you can like save yourself a lot of health or just instantly want to fight on her 2nd cast with Raise the Tempo and items like Jewel Gauntlet and that sort of thing. I really like econ augments in this. If you want to force this comp, you actually do need a lot of gold, because you'll need to, if you're going to force this comp and you don't tempo into it, you do need a lot of gold, because you'll need to hit Seraphine 3 at you need to be 50 health when you hit Seraphine 3. Because you'll take some losses even with a Seraphine 3, and then you got to take yourself home with a Lulu 3 and a Neeko 3, or just one of them is fine. So if you want to force it, I really like augments like Shopping Spree, March of Progress, that sort of thing, because you do need a lot of gold to hit. If you're just going to play this comp as a comp you play when you have the tempo and you have a strong KDA opener and you're naturally in Seraphines, then you don't necessarily need an econ augment in this, and in which case HP is just a little bit more important resource for you. Anyways, so yeah, but there's a bunch more augments that you can take here. A lot of cybernetic bulk and that sort of thing is very good, because any HP stacking augment is very strong in KDA, because KDA scales off of HP. So that is quite nice as well. All right, let's talk about the early game openers. If you guys want to force this stuff, or if you're just playing flex and just what angle you want to look for. Some of the strongest chosens you can take early game are going to be Nami, especially Disco, but Dazzler is fine as well. Kennen chosen, sometimes this can give you such insane tempo. If you get Guardian, Kennen chosen, you already have a Taric 2, or you get True Superfan, that can be really nice. So just remember, you need to hold extra Kennens on your bench because you'll need to sell him. Taric, Disco, or Guardian chosen is very strong. And then Annie, I don't necessarily like her very much if you're wanting to play really high tempo, but if you natural bunch of Grogguses or something, it can be quite strong. But what I really like about taking Annie chosen is that I can play my Seraphine and my Lulus on my board if I get them dropped, and I don't feel like I'm losing a lot of econ because I actually get to play the units that I'm trying to force into. So yeah, these are the chosens I like taking here. Yeah, and remember, if you guys don't know about the buy-sell rule, the buy-sell mechanic, I have a video on that, by the way. Just click on the channel. You'll see the buy-sell explained. If you don't know about that, you will need to buy any spellweaver chosen if it is offered. You have to buy it or buy-sell, you know what I mean? So if ever it's offered, you have to buy it, or you'll not be able to see an early Seraphine. It'll be harder to find the Seraphine later. Or if you get a KDA chosen, you'll need to buy and sell, or buy and play it. You could play, I don't have Evelyn on here. You could play Evelyn main carry if you have a KDA opener as well, and go into that. That can allow you to hold Seraphines and feel quite good about it. Okay, now let's talk about itemization. I feel like this is more the hot topic of this build. So in this build, you have to have healing reduction, and every build this patch, you have to have healing reduction, and you have to have some type of shred. And that shred can go anywhere. It can go on Lulu, it can go on Neeko, it can go on Seraphine. Now, if you're looking at my Seraphine items, I have Sojin, I have Death Cap, and I have Jeweled Gauntlet. If you look at the stats, and whenever we go into the stats, this is not the best performing items to have on Seraphine. But let's talk about this a little bit. So the reason why I have these items on here, I like Sojin on Seraphine, even though Adaptive performs better. It's because I like my Adaptive on my Lulu, because Sojin doesn't really change a lot for Lulu because she has 45 mana. And the other reason why is if I'm going to build a Sojin, and you're probably going to build a Sojin every game because you have to get rid of swords. It's very difficult to get rid of, very difficult to use the sword component. Really, the only sword items you want to build in this comp are going to be Sojin and Giant Slayer. Obviously, I have a Gunblade here on my Ahri, but you don't really build for Ahri until hyper late game. So, like, you got to get rid of a sword. And so a good way to get rid of a sword is a Spear of Sojin. And it goes on Seraphine because she gains a lot of attack speed from Lulu. So that's why I have the Sojin here. Even if you look at it, Adaptive and even Blue Buff performs a little stronger, which is strange. But I think there's so many other ways to use your tiers and not to build Blue Buff. You can build Adaptive, you can build Sojin, and that sort of thing. So anyways, so I like this itemization on Seraphine because I really believe in the one-shots. Like you will, like if you play this comp enough, you will notice like when Seraphine can actually one-shot, it's really insane and can really change fights, can really save you a lot of HP. And I like to have my utility stuff on other spots. Now, that's not to say you don't ever build Morello or Red Buff on Seraphine. It's a very good performing item in the stats, and it's a very good item on her. And it can be great for tempo and that sort of thing. I'm just doing what I would view as my ideal scenario would be to have these things here. Now, why do I have a GS on Lulu? One, it's a great way to get rid of a sword and a bow. Those are hard components to use unless you build the red buff. And that also might be another reason why the red buff performs really well in the stats, and we'll look at that in a second, is because it's a great way to get rid of your bows in this comp. So great way to get rid of your bows. And then, so I really like Giant Slayer here. Great way to get rid of your bow. And then as well as 3-star frontline carries are really strong, like Yone and Riven. And if you're going to win that matchup, and if they don't build a QSS, that matchup is really easy. If they do build a QSS, at the end of the fight, once their QSS expires, the way that you win those fights against the Rivens and Yones is Lulu CCs them, chunks them really hard with her Giant Slayer, and then Seraphine finishes them off. So that's why I have this itemization set up here. So let's actually look at the stats a little bit here. So I have it set up for Rabadons and Spear of Sojin because Rabadons is going to be, is your super fan item. So that's why it's here no matter what. And then I have it toggled for Spear of Sojin, again, because I think you're going to be building Spear of Sojin most games because, again, you have to get rid of that sword, even though Adaptive technically performs better. Now, if you look at the extra stats here, the item that I recommend, Jeweled Gauntlet, does not perform very well in the stats. It's actually positive delta, which is not good. But again, I truly believe in the fight interaction of the one shot. But if you just want to go straight by the stats, you want to look, the best item to combo it with is actually Adaptive Helm. I haven't done the math on, and I haven't really tested this in game to see if it reduces her autos to cast. But if it has negative delta, I would assume that just Adaptive comboed with Spear of Sojin reduces her amount of autos to cast. And in which case, that is going to be very good if that is the case. Something about Lulu, like Spear of Sojin is not very good on Lulu in isolation, but Adaptive Helm with Spear of Sojin makes her 2 autos to cast. So that is actually a good combination onto the Lulu as well. But yeah, if you guys want to use stats, yeah, these are going to be the best performing ones. Imagine Blue Buff is just for the initial burst. And then Static Shiv is always going to have like a negative delta because this is, I'm not excluding for the fact of if you don't have Shred at all in general. And Static Shiv can be good onto Seraphine because she attacks very fast because of the Lulu Hyper Pop buff. And then Nashor's is also a good slam. And Nashers will all, like a lot of times will have a negative delta because if you get dropped at the beginning of the game, Spear of Sojin Nashers, that is a very powerful combination of items, and you can tempo very hard on stage 2 with like a Nami chosen or a Lulu or a Annie chosen, something like that. So I think that's another reason why this performs really well, but this is a great item. So point is, guys, I think you can build a lot of different items on Seraphine and you can be good to go. If you want to do the one-shot build, that's fine. If you want to actually use her as your hero introduction, kind of make your whole team kind of chip everyone down, that's good as well. And then Adaptive Helm must just reduce the autos to cast. That must be why it is there. So last thing we'll talk about here is headliners. What are the appropriate headliners you can take in this comp? So Seraphine is going to be the best one. Either one, KDA or Spellweaver, especially if you're on, what's that portal? If you're on multi-talented, Seraphine is so good, as well as Lulu. So good chosen. Additionally, you can main carry Lulu chosen as well. So if you get offered Lulu, don't be afraid to take her. Hyperpop is really cool. Hyperpop chosen Lulu with hologram, the augment that makes it to where you copy your headliner. That is insane and so much fun playing 2 Lulus on your board. I even played 3 Lulus because I had that augment and I had Trickster's Glass, and I had 3 Hyperpop Lulu 3-stars on my board, and it was really fun. And I had 6, so I had 3 Hyperpop with 4 Hyperpop units on my board. It was hilarious. Anyway, so best one is going to be Seraphine for sure because it's really easy to 3-star her, especially if you're naturally a lot. And then Lulu's going to be the next best. And then maybe Neeko could be good. They buffed her chosen very strongly. It went from 20 mana to 40 mana that she grants her ally. This could be very good, especially with like a 3-star Lulu, because she will most of the time copy her every time she casts, and then Lulu will gain all of her mana. Her mana is only 40, so she will gain a full cast. So yeah, so I think that could be good. I just haven't really gotten a lot of time to test it, and I haven't really seen other people playing it as well. So anyways, guys, this is the comp. Again, if you're wanting to actually climb, I don't think hard forcing is very good unless you are diamond or below. If you're a master plus and you're wanting to climb, then I think this is just a great comp to have in your repertoire, especially if you get like a tempo KDA opener and you could just go into this, or or you tempo somehow with, or like a Disco Dazzler tempo, and you're able to play you're able to play the Kennen, you're naturally some Seraphines. I think this would be a good build to play if you don't want to go level 8 and roll down for TF. Anyways, guys, that is it for the video. Good luck climbing and good luck with the rest of the patch.